This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather in New York and Connie Chung at the Winter Olympics in Norway.
Good evening. Here in the Northern Lights Arena in Hamar, Norway, finally today, they skated. Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding, and more than 24 other world-class figure skaters went toe-to-toe in a showdown for points and for place, reaching for the Olympic peak. Correspondent John Blackstone has details of the sizzler on ice.
USA!
All the anticipation that has been building for almost 2 months now was tonight focused on Northern Lights Hall.
Oh, we are saying, give Tanya a chance.
Row 10, best ticket.
Scalpers were asking 1,200 kroner, almost $200 for tickets.
Wouldn't miss it for anything.
Though 27 women are competing, including two-time gold medal winner Katarina Witt, Tanya Harding arrived displaying her now legendary determination.
I'm here to win.
Nancy Kerrigan came to the arena already well prepared, it seemed, to avoid reporters' questions. Both Harding and Kerrigan had tried out their programs in training sessions earlier today. It was the first time the public had been allowed into a practice since Harding arrived in Norway. The crowd was large and enthusiastic. Although all other eyes were on Harding and Kerrigan, the two seemed intent on never noticing each other. In the practice, both delivered, giving a promising preview for tonight. And when Harding skated onto the ice tonight, her hands were clasped as if in prayer. But it took only seconds for her medal hopes to all but vanish. A bad landing after her first jump, a mistake going into her second. For technical elements, her scores averaged 5 out of a possible 6. For presentation, 5 4s and 5 5s. Respectable, but not likely medal caliber. 2 hours and 18 skaters later, Nancy Kerrigan came on the ice, greeted by the warmest cheers of the evening. Her first jump set the tone, near perfection. Back home in Boston, Kerrigan's family cheered as they listened to commentators describe an almost flawless performance.
To go out there was really exciting, to have all the crowd behind me and everyone at home as well. I was really excited.
The judges awarded Kerrigan's performance with scores ranging from 5.6 to 5.9 for both technical elements and presentation. These were the top scores of the night.
Before I went out, I felt a little bit too calm, I think, and I'm usually doing sprints and stuff to get myself psyched up.
Kerrigan was not without competition tonight. Oksana Bayul of Ukraine and Surya Bonali of France finished second and third, skating impressive programs. Tanya Harding finished tonight in 10th.
It was a gold medal performance. Yay, Nancy Kerrigan!
She skated beautifully, and she got what she deserved.
But tonight's competition is really only the beginning. On Friday, the women skate again, and those performances are worth twice as many points as tonight's. Tanya Harding is probably too far back to become a medal contender, but Nancy Kerrigan is clearly going for the gold. John Blackstone, CBS News, Lillehammer.
Few have better perspective on all this than Kristi Yamaguchi. She won the gold medal in this event in 1992. She watched all the performances here tonight, and I spoke with her just a short time ago. Do you think that Nancy Kerrigan was the best skater and deserved to come in first?
Oh, definitely. Nancy skated very well tonight. She looked confident on the ice and really had the crowd with her, so I would definitely have had her first.
She made no mistakes?
No, she completed each element right.
At this stage of the competition, this is the first part. You came in first 2 years ago in Albertville. Does this mean that Nancy Kerrigan really has a great shot for the gold?
Well, she's in the perfect position right now going into the free program. This performance probably gave her a lot of confidence, so she looked like she felt really good out there, so she can go into the free program knowing the atmosphere and with a lot of confidence, knowing that she's skating well.
Now, did Tanya Harding, who came in 10th, deserve to come in 10th?
Tanya had trouble on a couple of things, so I think the placement was about right.
Do you think she was judged fairly?
Yes, I think so.
Nancy Kerrigan skated next to last. Tanya Harding skated early in the program, and they always say that the judges don't give us better marks early on and give better marks towards the end. Do you think that that played into what happened tonight?
Not necessarily. If you do skate early in a group and come off with a clean performance, no mistakes, then you know, the judges will give you just marks. In Albertville, I was actually very early. I think I skated 10th or 11th, and Nancy was before me. So we both skated clean and ended up, you know, in the top 3. So if you do the job, then you'll get what you deserve.
1992 gold medal winner Kristi Yamaguchi. Also on the ice here in Norway today, a crushing defeat for Team USA. The American hockey team lost to Finland 6-1. That puts Team USA into the consolation round. No hope now for a medal. And finally, an incredible record set today by American speed skater Bonnie Blair. We'll have her story later in the broadcast. Dan?
There will be a lot more Olympic coverage later, but Connie, another international competition is dominating the news here at home. It's called superpower spying. There were calls from Capitol Hill today for retaliation against Russia over the CIA double agent scandal. And 2 national security agencies are now facing tough questions about why it happened and why they didn't break the case sooner. Our coverage of Russia's counterspy triumph begins tonight with national security correspondent David Martin.
CIA Director James Woolsey went behind closed doors on Capitol Hill today to explain how Aldrich Ames could have spied for the Soviet Union right under the noses of the CIA and FBI.
It appears to have been going on for 9 years, and that's a long time not to be able to detect it or to find it.
As long ago as 1986, the FBI learned through its surveillance of the Soviet embassy that Ames had scheduled a meeting with a Soviet official.
But the FBI apparently never told the CIA. If it had, it would have found out that Ames had never reported the meeting to his superiors as he was required to. 4 days later, Ames deposited $18,000 in the bank, money which is now believed to have come from the Soviets.
The CIA never noticed Ames was living way beyond his $70,000 government salary, buying everything from a $540,000 house for cash to a new Jaguar and a farm in South America.
But beyond the lifestyle, there was the more alarming fact that the CIA's operations against the Soviet Union were going bad. Agents would disappear and never be heard from again until one day Moscow announced they'd been executed for treason.
CBS News has learned the Reagan White House asked the CIA to conduct a full-scale review of all its Soviet operations to figure out what had gone wrong. But the review was never done.
It didn't happen because of many of the bureaucratic rivalries that unfortunately exist within the intelligence community.
The FBI and CIA never did pick up any of the warning signs. A reliable source told CBS News it finally took a defector from the old KGB to put investigators on Ames's trail. David Martin, CBS News, Washington.
This is Rita Braver at the White House, where President Clinton today rejected calls by some members of Congress for a freeze in U.S. aid to Russia in the wake of the Ames case.
I do not think the facts of this case this time undermine in any way, shape, or form the policy we have followed for the last year toward President Yeltsin and his government and the forces of change in Russia.
So far, the official line from Russia, what's all the fuss? Everybody spies.
What's new about it, you know, we never said that, for instance, we stopped intelligence activities, or neither Americans nor Western Europeans.
Should Americans be worried that there's still others out there? Do you think that's reasonable for us to think?
Absolutely. In fact, you can almost take that to the bank.
All of this comes at a time when the sunny relationship between Bill and Boris, as they call each other, is already being tested in Bosnia. Some critics charge Yeltsin upstaged President Clinton by sending Russian troops to enforce the ceasefire in Sarajevo. And today, without President Clinton's blessing, Yeltsin suddenly called for a summit to work out a broader peace. But the Senate Minority Leader charged the Russians are trying to pull a fast one.
I hope that President Clinton rejects this idea. Russia's objective seems clear: blunt the actions of NATO and protect the gains of Serbian aggression.
In Bosnia today, a spokesman for President Yeltsin criticized the U.S. for revealing the spy case at a critical time in Bosnia, saying it could lead to an atmosphere of Cold War distrust. U.S. officials dismissed that charge as totally without foundation. They say the spy case in Bosnia are on 2 separate tracks, that the timing was coincidental, and that the U.S. still wants a full accounting of why the espionage was allowed to continue. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
In Bosnia, another shaky step toward possible peace today. The Croat army, backed by the Germans, and the Bosnian government army signed a ceasefire effective Friday. U.S. diplomats are pushing to restore the shattered alliance between the Bosnian government and the Croats to balance the dominant power of the Serbs, backed by the Russians. Meanwhile, the UN wants to extend the ceasefire in Sarajevo to other parts of Bosnia. In 2 weeks, they hope to break the Serbian siege of Tuzla. CBS News correspondent Alan Pizzi is there.
10 tons of American-donated cooking oil lies in the snow in the hills of central Bosnia, another victim of the hazards of the convoy route that leads to Tuzla. But even this is a bonanza for some. Bosnian government soldiers on their way back from the front do the unloading. This isn't looting. The truck couldn't be removed with the oil on board, and Dutch UN troops need to clear the route for more vehicles. Nearly 1 million people in central Bosnia rely on this convoy route, and it can supply only about 20% of their food needs. Convoys can take days to reach the interior. Belgian troops are trying to widen the road wherever possible, but mountain passes are single track, and every truck that churns through makes Tuzla Airport more important.
Yes, it is essential. It's imperative that that the airport be opened. I don't think that we can meet the needs of this region any longer by convoys alone.
The runway is intact, although Serb troops stripped the control tower. The UN could have the airport functional within days, but faith in UN resolve is fading here.
I have no big hope, just a little, for survive.
The Serb artillery that has been besieging Muslim forces from these hills for nearly 2 years can hit the airport without a problem. Bosnian troops here say the airport is shelled every time there's talk of opening it, which bodes ill for meeting the UN deadline of getting flights in here by March the 7th, unless they are prepared to back that up with airstrikes. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Tuzla Airport.
Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, the groundhog was right. Human forecasters wrong. The wild winter of '94 rolls on. Plus, a CBS News reality check. Taxpayer ripoff, why you could soon be getting less honey for your money.